Hey, Chibis. I'm Ivy, and today we are talking about how AI-driven memory demand could make the next generation of gaming unaffordable. If you enjoy stories like this, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's go. Act 1. The price of joining the future. Imagine buying a new game console and discovering that the most important upgrade is not its graphics, but its price. That is the risk facing the next generation of gaming. The question is not whether people still want games. They clearly do. The question is whether the hardware needed to access the most ambitious games can remain affordable, while the same semiconductor industry is being reorganized around artificial intelligence. A higher price would affect more than a shopper's budget. It could change which consoles developers support, how much publishers spend, and which business models become attractive. Artificial intelligence is not literally removing memory from every PlayStation and placing it inside a server. The real issue is competition for manufacturing capacity, advanced packaging, investment, and supplier attention. The PlayStation 5 offers a useful baseline. Its standard United States launch price in 2020 was about $500, while the digital edition launched at about $400. Act 2. One word. Several kinds of memory. Memory is often discussed as though every gigabyte were interchangeable. It is not. Graphics cards commonly use GDDR memory. Phones and thin laptops may use low-power DDR. Servers use other forms of DDR. Consoles also contain solid-state storage based on NAND flash. Artificial intelligence accelerators frequently use high-bandwidth memory, known as HBM, attached through specialized packaging. These categories overlap at the level of the semiconductor economy, but they do not simply substitute for one another. A gigabyte of HBM cannot be counted as a gigabyte of console memory that has been stolen. The better comparison is industrial. The companies, factories, packaging facilities, substrates, equipment, and engineering resources behind these products exist within a connected system. When one category becomes extraordinarily profitable, investment and production priorities can shift toward it. That distinction matters because high bandwidth memory has become central to modern data center accelerators. Act 3. Why the biggest customer gets hurt first. The memory industry is unusually concentrated. Samsung Electronics, SK Hynix, and Micron are the major global DRAM producers, with HBM adding further specialization and supply constraints. Building or expanding a large semiconductor facility takes years. Equipment must be installed, processes qualified, and production gradually increased. A company deciding today to add capacity is making a bet on demand several years from now, not solving next month's retail shortage. That creates a difficult incentive. Artificial intelligence companies and cloud providers are placing enormous infrastructure orders, while the long-term size of that market remains uncertain. If demand stays strong, suppliers want to serve it. If the investment arrives just as the artificial intelligence boom cools, the industry could be left with expensive excess capacity. The pressure is visible in corporate priorities, but the causes must not be overstated. Earnings reports from memory manufacturers and industry research can show whether HBM and data center products are receiving greater allocation or investment. They cannot automatically prove that a console price increase was caused by artificial intelligence. Consumer hardware also reflects inflation, exchange rates, storage, shipping, tariffs, redesigns, and each company's pricing strategy. And artificial intelligence demand itself is not guaranteed forever. It depends on data center financing, energy availability, enterprise revenue, model efficiency, regulation, and investor confidence. If the build-out slows, memory demand and pricing could reverse. Act 4. When expensive hardware changes the game. For players, memory prices become meaningful when they reach the shelf. Graphics card memory can be a substantial component cost in high-end products. Retail price, manufacturing cost, component cost, and profit margin are different measurements. Still, the economic mechanism is straightforward. If a new platform becomes more expensive, some people delay their purchase. That does not mean demand disappears, and 1 weak sales month cannot prove a structural collapse. Supply, promotion, seasonality, software releases, and retailer inventory all matter. But a slower upgrade cycle creates a real problem for publishers because a platform's audience is part of the business case for every major game. A developer deciding whether to fund a large project is estimating future players, future software sales, and the cost of supporting multiple systems. A big existing audience can make an ambitious game less risky. A smaller new audience may encourage cross-generation releases, lower budgets, familiar franchises, remasters, or projects designed around proven monetization. The installed base also behaves like a reservoir that slowly drains. Consoles break, are resold, move between households, or stop being used. Players migrate to computers, phones, other platforms, or out of the hobby. A new generation normally replenishes the pool of active customers. If upgrading becomes too expensive, older hardware may remain commercially important for longer, but the long-term replacement cycle could slow. Act 5. The industry's 4 pressure valves. When growth slows, companies have several familiar responses. They can raise hardware prices, increase subscription fees, raise game prices, reduce costs, or seek more revenue inside existing products. Whether prices continue upward will depend on budgets, competition, inflation, and consumer tolerance. Subscriptions are another valve. They provide recurring revenue and can make a platform feel more valuable, but price increases can also push people away. Digital distribution gives platform holders control over storefront pricing, discount timing, payment processing, and access rules. It offers convenience and immediate downloads, while usually reducing the resale, lending, and trading options associated with physical games. That shift should be discussed carefully. Download-based physical products already exist on some platforms, with a box containing an authentication key while most or all of the game is downloaded. That can lower manufacturing and distribution costs, but it is not identical to eliminating every physical release. Microsoft announced major gaming layoffs in 2024, including roughly 1,900 positions, according to widely reported figures, and closed studios including Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks. Those events demonstrate serious restructuring, but they do not demonstrate that artificial intelligence memory prices caused the layoffs. Post-pandemic correction, acquisition integration, cancelled projects, and portfolio strategy were also involved. The more defensible conclusion is that component pressure could act as an accelerant on an industry already trying to control costs. Smaller projected audiences may make publishers more cautious. Caution can favor known franchises and service revenue over unusual experiments. But fewer employees do not automatically mean fewer good games, and a remake is not automatically evidence of a memory shortage. Act 6. The alternatives and their limits. Cloud gaming appears to offer an escape. Instead of buying a powerful local machine, a player rents access to hardware in a remote data center. That can lower the entry cost and extend the life of a modest device. But the trade is dependence on broadband, latency, regional availability, server capacity, licensing rules, subscription fees, and usage policies. Older hardware and older games are another practical response. A large back catalog can keep players entertained, while new devices become more expensive. Mobile gaming has a broader everyday reach because smartphones are widely owned, yet mobile is not a simple replacement for console gaming. Mobile games use different controls, session lengths, discovery systems, and revenue models. Free-to-play purchases, advertising, subscriptions, and virtual currencies can be effective, but a console game does not automatically become a successful mobile game by being ported. The important issue is that their economics reward different design decisions. Act 7. What would prove the fear wrong? A serious forecast needs tests that could disprove it. The pressure thesis would weaken if HBM supply expands faster than demand, if DRAM and graphics memory prices fall, if new consoles launch at broadly affordable prices, and if those platforms build strong audiences quickly. It would also weaken if publishers continue funding experimental games and employment stabilizes. The thesis would strengthen if advanced packaging remained constrained, consumer memory stayed expensive, hardware upgrades slowed across several regions, and publishers repeatedly linked investment decisions to smaller future audiences. Even then, artificial intelligence would be one factor within a wider economic story, not a universal explanation for every cancelled game, price increase, or job loss. So the likely future is not a clean collapse or a single replacement for the console. It is a redistribution of access. Enthusiasts may pay more for local performance. Many players may keep older machines longer. Others may move toward phones, subscriptions, or remote hardware. Developers will follow the audiences that can reliably pay, and that may reshape the kinds of games receiving the largest investments. Gaming is not losing its audience simply because artificial intelligence is expanding. The deeper risk is that access becomes more uneven, ownership becomes more conditional, and creative risk becomes harder to justify. Watch memory prices, hardware adoption, publisher budgets, and actual player behavior rather than the loudest prediction. If this explanation helped clarify the supply chain, consider subscribing for more evidence-focused technology stories and share the questions you want investigated next.